So Mom walks into the house one Saturday afternoon, and after doing the normal routine of greet the visitors and hear how big you've become, I went into my room. So in our home, as I assume many of your African households, when your parents had visitors, you were not supposed to be seen lurking around, unless needed. So I'm seated in my room, and after a few minutes, I hear, Lusaria, kuja upikie wageni ugali, which translated means, come and make some ugali for the visitors. Now, ugali being a staple food in Kenya, and growing up in a very Luya household, I knew that the ugali cooking test was one I would eventually have to pass. But I didn't think it would come this soon. I have to mention, I wasn't even 10 yet. So I don't know how many of you cooked ugali before you were 10. Yeah, neither had I. I was terrified. But I thought, how difficult could it possibly be? It's 2 ingredients. It's water and flour. So I gathered up my confidence, and I decided this was the day I was going to ace the cooking ugali test. I went into the kitchen, and I took the pot, put the water to boil on the cooker, and when the water had reached the perfect boiling point, I took the flour and the cooking stick, and I began. While I was pouring the flour into the water, that is when all hell broke loose. It was a disaster. The water-flour mixture, as you guys know it, was pouring all over the pot, the cooker. It was a mess, and I was so disappointed. I didn't know what to do, so I started crying. After what seemed like an eternity, my mother finally came to the kitchen, and she had to take over and cook for the visitors. I remember this story as my first vivid experience with cooking. I remember it as well because this was the first time that I made a promise to myself that I was never, ever going to fail at cooking again. Now, whether this happened or not is a different story, but that began my journey with food and cooking and the kitchen. And I love food. I love everything about food. I love cooking. I love eating. Oh, I love eating. I love reading about food. I love thinking about how different things go together. I love creating recipes. I love watching food shows. Now, speaking about watching, one of my favorite shows to watch is Chopped. So Chopped is a cooking competition on the Food Network, and you're given a basket with some mystery ingredients, and you're supposed to create 3 dishes. So an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert. So in every round, if your dish doesn't cut it, you're chopped. And I particularly like Chopped Junior because, well, it's a bunch of 9, 10, 11-year-olds, and their skill mesmerizes me. They have the ability to create the most amazing dishes with things I've never heard of. However, I like the junior one because it also takes me back to that time when my mother asked me to cook for those visitors. Well, it wasn't the Chopped kitchen, it was my mother's kitchen, but for me, the situation was the same. I mean, the pressure was intense, the passion for cooking was there, and there were judges, in my case, visitors, but still the same. So let's talk about how much I love food just for a minute. For a normal person, when you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it looks something like this pyramid. For me, however, it looks something like that. It's all food. My physiological needs, my self-esteem needs, they have something to do with food. But I wonder, does that make me a foodie? I don't know, because according to the internet, a foodie is someone who has a great or a particular interest with food. I mean, that could be any one of us in this room today, right? Because who doesn't have a particular interest in food? I like to think of it as my own personal rendition of eating life with a big spoon. Sometimes literally. George Bernard Shaw said that there is no love greater than the love for food. I agree, because I feel love when I take that first bite of a juicy burger. I feel love when I'm seated in a restaurant and I can see the waiter coming towards me with a steak I just ordered. I feel love after a long day when I get home to some freshly made pesto pasta. That, to me, that's love. One of the questions we constantly get growing up is, what do you want to be when you grow up? Some of us today are still getting that question. My brother, when growing up, wanted to be, among other things, a watchman or a policeman. Because to him, these were the people who protected people against the bad guys. So that was his ambition. However, going through the normal Kenyan 844 system, which I went through, we are constantly told that to be successful in life, you needed to be a doctor, an engineer, an architect, a lawyer. We've had it. And I did relatively well in school, relative. And I tried to see myself in some of these fields, but I couldn't see how I fit. However, today, I'm so glad to know that the thing that fills my heart and allows me to feel the hearts of those around me is food. So my first lesson for you guys today is, the thing you're looking for is right in front of you. You don't have to look too far or too hard to find it. However, it's not always going to be easy experiencing your passion or your purpose in life. Let's think about Colonel Sanders for a minute. Before he founded KFC, his secret ingredient for the fried chicken was denied not once, not twice, but 1,009 times. Now let's think about that for a minute. Some of us, after the first rejection, we retreat and give up and look for something else to do. Can you imagine if he gave up maybe the first, second, maybe the third time? We wouldn't have one of the world's greatest food chains today. And for some of you, maybe the venue for your first dates. So my second lesson for you today is, it's not always going to be a bed of roses, experiencing the path to finding your passion or living your purpose in life. But you cannot let that hold you back. Now, the picture on the screen is not a picture of me holding my pet chicken. It is a picture of me holding what would probably be our lunch or dinner for that day. So I love chicken. I love chicken. I love everything about chicken. I love cooking chicken. I love eating chicken. I think chicken was brought to save our lives. I love chicken because I find there's so many ways in which you can cook it and recreate it, and it will still taste delicious. I love chicken also because I find it goes well with everything. You can eat chicken with bread. You can eat chicken as a soup. I mean, you can have chicken for breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, anything, midnight snack, you name it. Chicken is for any time. Over the years, I have been able to create a couple of chicken recipes that I'm proud of. But it took me a lot of trial and error and failure and time to come up with some of these dishes. And to the agony of my family and friends, who are the ones who have to taste these recipes that I create, my third lesson is that patience is a virtue. And with patience comes learning. And with learning comes maturity, which we can all agree is an excellent thing. My journey with food has led me to creating Lulus, and I've been able to cater for events small and big, but more importantly, I've been able to be part of creating memories for people that I would never have met any other way. And this fills my heart so much. These are the stories that I hope to tell my children and my grandchildren as I share with them my recipes, which hopefully I'll have handwritten just like in the movies. So I challenge you today. How are you eating life with a big spoon? Remember, the thing you're looking for could be right in front of you. You don't have to look too far or too hard. Remember, don't let the failures hold you back. Experience the highs, experience the lows, take the learning and grow with it. Finally, and most importantly, be patient with yourself, on that journey to becoming more fully yourself, because nobody likes an undercooked meal. Thank you very much.